Every day, the universe behaves like it's signed a contract. Light travels at a fixed speed. Gravity pulls with mathematical loyalty. Atoms obey rules so faithfully that your phone works, your heart beats, and galaxies hold formation across impossible distances. But here is the question that should wake your brain at 3 a.m. If the universe is ruled by laws, who wrote them? And if no one wrote them, if there was no lawgiver, then where did laws come from? Not planets, not particles, laws. Because rocks don't invent equations, hydrogen does not hold committee meetings, and space itself has never published a constitution. So tonight, we step into one of the deepest rabbit holes in existence. Is reality governed by impersonal laws, or does all this order point to authority? And here's the twist. Science can map the laws with astonishing precision, but science alone does not tell us why there are laws at all. Philosophers of science debate what laws of nature even are. Are they descriptions of patterns, necessary relations, features of the best explanatory system? They are not little legal commands floating in space. So, which is more logical, accident or authority? What do we even mean by law? Let's clarify something important. When scientists say law, they don't mean a police officer will arrest electrons for bad behavior. The universe does not have tiny cosmic lawyers shouting, "Objection! That proton violated Section 4, subparagraph B." In science, a law usually means a deeply reliable regularity. Something nature does consistently enough that we can write it mathematically and use it to predict what happens next. Newton described gravity. Maxwell unified electricity and magnetism. Einstein reshaped gravity into geometry. Quantum theory gave us rules so strange they sound like reality had a late-night argument with itself. And yet, these laws are astonishingly stable. Not mostly stable, not stable when Mercury is in retrograde, stable enough to build civilizations on. Modern particle physics, summarized in the Standard Model, explains how fundamental building blocks of matter interact under consistent forces. Translation? Reality behaves in ways that can be expressed in precise mathematics. But here is the dangerous question. A scientific law describes how things behave. It does not automatically explain why this set of rules exists instead of another, or none at all. And that silent gap, that uncomfortable gap, is where philosophy and theology walk in. The universe looks suspiciously ordered. The deeper science goes, the weirder the elegance gets. Reality is not random static, it is structured, not simple. No, this thing is gloriously complicated, but structured. Fixed relationships, stable constants, repeatable interactions. The Standard Model contains parameters that must be measured. Modern cosmology can be summarized with a surprisingly small set of numbers. That means the universe is not merely there, it is there in an orderly way, like a language with grammar, like music with intervals, like government with jurisdiction. Now, someone is already typing, maybe order just happens. Sure, sometimes order emerges from deeper rules, but that only pushes the question back one level. If order emerges from deeper rules, where did the deeper rules come from? You can kick that can down the cosmic road, but eventually the road ends, and you're standing at the cliff edge of first principles. Science is brilliant at measurement, but it does not run experiments called "Why is there intelligible order at all?" Fine-tuning enters the room. Now we reach the phrase that makes both physicists and apologists reach for coffee: fine-tuning. In philosophy of science, fine-tuning refers to cases where outcomes depend sensitively on parameter values. Small changes, big consequences. In cosmology, some of those numbers matter a lot.
Change the strengths of forces, particle masses, cosmic initial conditions, and the universe you know collapses into something radically different. No stable atoms, no chemistry worth writing poems about, no stars, no heavy elements, no observers asking existential questions at 2 a.m. Take the cosmological constant associated with vacuum energy in Einstein's equations. Observations of distant supernovae revealed cosmic expansion is accelerating, and modern precision cosmology shows that a relatively simple mathematical model fits the data remarkably well. Translation: the universe appears describable by a tightly constrained mathematical framework, not sloppy chaos, calibrated order. Now, let's be intellectually honest. Fine-tuning is a live debate. Some interpret it as evidence of design. Others propose selection effects, deeper physics not yet discovered, or multiverse hypotheses. It is not proof of God discovered in a lab coat, but it is also not nothing. It is a blinking neon sign that says the universe is strangely hospitable to structured complexity. And if that doesn't at least disturb you a little, your sense of wonder may need new batteries. 3 doors. Once you see the order, you must ask what best explains it. Broadly, people tend to reach 3 paths. Door 1, chance. Maybe the laws are just there. No reason, no author, no deeper story. The equilocal equivalent of "it do be like that." This is logically possible, but for many, calling something a brute fact feels like stopping the question rather than answering it. Door 2, necessity. Maybe the laws couldn't have been otherwise. Maybe a deeper final theory will show this structure is the only mathematically possible one. Physicists love elegance. Physicists would marry elegance if it came with funding. But today, that ultimate theory remains unfinished territory. The Standard Model is powerful. It is not complete. Gravity is not unified within it. So necessity remains an open hope, not a closed case. Door 3, mind or authority. Maybe order points beyond itself. Maybe laws reflect intention. Maybe intelligibility reflects intelligence. And here the ancient instinct speaks. What if the cosmos is not merely a machine, but a kingdom? Not chaos under equations, not merely motion under math, but order under authority. Now, science cannot directly test divine kingship with a particle detector, but science also cannot by itself prove that laws are self-explanatory. The moment you ask why laws exist at all, you have stepped from physics into metaphysics, and there, everyone is doing philosophy, even the people pretending they are not. The kingdom metaphor. Let's use the metaphor clearly. In a kingdom, order is not accidental. Boundaries exist because authority establishes them. Roles exist because governance defines them. Stability exists because power is organized. Now, imagine the universe that way. Gravity is not improvising. Electromagnetism is not trying new personalities every Tuesday. Constants of nature are not waking up asking, "Should we experiment today?" Reality behaves like a realm under dependable rule. This is metaphor, not measurement, but it captures something undeniable. The universe is astonishingly lawful. And the word law naturally provokes the mind to ask about grounding. Pattern, necessity, authority. For a believer, this metaphor becomes coherence. A kingdom implies a king. A rationally graspable world fits the idea of a rational source. The skeptic may object. You are projecting political language onto nature. Fair, but the believer replies, no, I'm noticing that deep intelligibility makes more sense if reality is grounded in mind than if mind is a late accident of chaos. And now we are exactly where the deepest conversations live. Humor break. So, let's breathe, because at this point, half the audience is inspired, and the other half is opening 17 tabs. So let me clarify. This video is not claiming physicists secretly found King Jesus in Collider data and buried the paperwork. No. There were no seraphim adjusting dark energy. What we are noticing is something more interesting. Science works because the universe is orderly enough to be studied. Precision cosmology works because the cosmos is mathematically consistent enough to permit inference. So the real question is not, does science work? It clearly does. The question is, why does reality cooperate with rational investigation so beautifully? Why is the universe not intelligible fog? Why can mathematics latch on to matter? Why can primates on a wet rock write equations that describe cosmic expansion? That is either breathtaking coincidence or a clue. The deeper rabbit hole.
If consciousness arose in a universe governed by stable laws, then your ability to understand the cosmos is itself part of the cosmos. The universe has produced creatures that can discover its rules. That means reality is not only ordered, it is intelligible. And that leads to one of the oldest possibilities in human thought. Maybe reason in us reflects reason behind us. Maybe law in nature reflects word behind nature. Maybe the cosmos is not merely a system. Maybe it is a sentence. And if it is a sentence, you must ask whether there is a speaker. Science cannot confirm that. Science measures structure. But when you ask why lawful intelligibility exists at all, you are in worldview territory. Science can take you to the edge. It cannot make the metaphysical jump for you. At that edge, each person must decide what best explains the order they see. Bringing it home. Where does this leave us? Not with a cheap answer, and not with smug certainty. It leaves us with a universe that is mathematically tractable, astonishingly ordered, and governed by stable regularities. It leaves us with fine-tuning debates that are serious and unresolved. And it leaves us with a question science does not close. Why do the laws exist? Are they brute facts, necessary outcomes, selected among possibilities, or reflections of deeper authority? If you believe the universe is a kingdom, order looks like administration. If you don't, you still must explain why the cosmos behaves like a place where order reigns. Because one thing is clear, the universe is not lazy chaos. It is disciplined. And disciplined reality raises a haunting possibility. Maybe the deepest thing in existence is not force, but authority. So here is the question science cannot answer for you. Which is more logical, accident or authority? Are the laws of physics unexplained facts floating in darkness? Or does the order of the universe hint that reality is not merely ruled by laws, but by a king? Drop your answer in the comments. Chance, necessity, authority, and why? Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves science, philosophy, or the kind of questions that ruin sleep in the best possible way. Because the deeper you look into the universe, the less it looks like noise, and the more it looks like a throne room with equations.